Being very entitled and controlling, narcissists have no difficulty stepping all over your personal boundaries. So that's why I put together an extensive video class called This Is Me. It has 25 videos, written documents, guided questions. I'm going to teach you how to have healthy boundaries. There's a link below, and I hope you'll find it to be quite therapeutic. We're going to talk today about the covert narcissist gaslighting strategy, and I think it's so important that we go into this topic and continue to try to understand covert narcissism, because these are individuals that can sneak up on you, and you don't really realize how toxic they are until you've been pulled way into their confidences. Now, there's one word that would capture the essence of what a true covert narcissist is, and that's the word phony. In their initial interactions with you, they'll give you the impression that they're on board with you, and they like you, and they want good things to happen between you and them. Over time, you realize, no, that's not the case at all. That's the phoniness. But in the short term, it's like, oh yeah, I'm one of the best people you've ever met. I'm always going to be on your team. I'm for you. I'm with you. But ultimately, you begin learning that what they really want is for you to filter your way of life through them. They need to build themselves up by diminishing you. You just don't see it right up front. They actually pride themselves in the ability to disguise what their negatives are or what their pathology might be, as they let you know, well, if there's a problem here, that can't possibly be me. It must be you. And what I want to do today is I want to kind of walk you through part of the strategy that they'll use. It's a progression in how they will eventually get to you and get you to thinking negatively about who you are so that they can have that control over you. It's very nefarious in the way that they think. Now, the first thing that we'll say is part of their strategy. Covert narcissists will create what I call the setup. And when I say they have a setup, what I mean is they'll begin in their engagements with you as being very friendly. They can sometimes show a great deal of curiosity about who you are and what your interests are. Of course, later on, you find out that they're gathering data that they can eventually use against you later on. They like to find points of connection. Oh, you like this? So do I. Or they may show favoritism toward you. Only later, as you begin realizing that this pleasantness and friendliness isn't quite as prominent down the road, do you begin questioning, were they just being an actor during that time? Was that just a ruse in those earlier days? And the answer is yes, but you tend not to see it up front. That's part of the covert aspect of it. Once they've started the setup, then we go to the next phase in their strategy, and that is they're going to start questioning you. And this is the beginning point of their gaslighting mindset toward you. Let's suppose you just express an opinion about something. And they may say something like, where did you come up with an idea like that? Or you may have a priority that's not their priority, and they'll think, well, do you really feel that's a good idea? I'm not too sure about that. And they can come across as wanting your best interest at heart, or they can come across as a friendly person that's trying to bring you along to a better way of living and thinking and doing. Your preferences, your ideas, your habits, even the friends that you engage with are all going to come under question. And so this is their beginning point of starting to whittling away at your sense of confidence, which is what gaslighting is all about. Now, once they do that, they continue to move forward in this strategy. And the next thing you'll begin seeing is the establishment of double standards. Keep in mind that part of narcissism is that narcissistic individual thinks of themselves as being superior, which of course puts you in the not too good position. And so basically they'll let it be known, well, certain things that I do are okay, but you can't do the same thing. For example, I can question the validity of your opinions. You can't question the validity of my opinions. Or the people that I hang around with are, well, they're really good, Well, but the people you hang around with are not, so we're not going to do that. I can give you suggestions, but you don't need to give me suggestions. And that's their sense that says, look, I hate to break the news to you, but you just don't have nearly as much skill in life as I do. And so again, they want to whittle away at your sense of well-being. Now they can do it sometimes in a pleasant kind of way with that, positive kind of thing. Well, I'm just trying to help you. Just wanted to give you some good advice that, from experiences that I've had. But make no mistake, these double standards are their way of more or less establishing I'm the superior one, you're beneath me. Then over time, as they've set you up, they start questioning you, they establish their double standards. Then as you begin to show yourself to be a little distinct, irritability begins to show up. And so they use their irritability and their agitation as a tool for control. That's part of the narcissism, and so they might start shaming you. And they may think, I'm trying to help you, and I'm trying to be here for you, but you're just not a very grateful kind of person, are you? Or I'm trying to do good things for you, but you don't do all the good things for me. And so they call your motives into question, and then they make judgments about how you really don't manage things nearly as well as they do. They may begin to withdraw some of their encouragement or helpfulness or support toward you. And so their agitation, their irritability begins to come more and more into focus. And this is where you begin seeing the narcissism show up a little bit more clearly. It's less covert than it might have been in the beginning. And then as they continue on, you'll notice that if you do start talking with them about their humanity, they'll illustrate an almost complete unwillingness to admit their own errors or mistakes, or just places where they just don't know things as well as others. It's like, look, if there's a problem here, it can't be me, it has to be you. So if there's an error, or if there's a glitch in our relationship, it must be you. And so these narcissistic individuals show themselves to be tightly defensive. And let's keep in mind that part of that phoniness that I mentioned is it's an illustration of how dedicated they are to living behind their false self. They've got to have a certain image, and they're trying to bring you into alignment with their own image of their wonderful nature. And so they won't admit errors. They're tightly defensive. And then in addition, as they see positive things happening with you, they're just going to whittle away at the legitimacy of all of that. Well, for example, if something good has happened to you, they might start thinking or saying something like, well, other people don't know you quite like I know you. In other words, I know all the junk about you. They just don't see it. Or you have no idea what folks say about you behind your back, because I've heard it and it's not very pretty. Or maybe you did have a nice experience, but my experiences are more appealing. And so over time, as they have shown themselves to be friendly and encouraging, the questioning, the double standards, the irritability, the defensiveness, and the whittling away at your positive experiences come along. And then eventually, as you show yourself to be less and less enamored with them, they're just going to start withdrawing some of that original affirmation, and they may begin the real takedown of you. Well, you're such a disappointment, or everybody told me that you were a nice person, but I just have realized that everybody doesn't know what they're talking about. Boy, have you been somebody who's been a thorn in my side. And then here comes the eventual discard. So when I say that the covert narcissist goes into this gaslighting strategy, what I mean is all of that I've just described is just so highly predictable. And when you're in those earlier stages where that nicety begins to come to the forefront, they can be very seductive in the way that they do things. But this is one of these things where you have to remind yourself, I've got to give it time to show itself to be accurate and true before I give my trust all the way to them. Narcissists, by the way, want you to trust them very quickly. It's important for you to realize that when you're dealing with individuals who show themselves to be the covert gaslighting strategist, that there's a deeply embedded insecurity that these people operate with. When somebody comes across in such a way that they've got to be right and they have to be the best person and the nicest person you ever met, often that actually is their way of saying, I'm needy, I'm hungry for your affirmation, but they don't necessarily say it like that. And then in addition, once you do begin to see the pathology that really is there, then you're going to notice they're going to take on the victimization role very quickly. And that means you're the bad guy, you're the villain. That's part of the gaslighting. And so I'm hoping that as you see this pattern, see their strategies for what it is, that you're going to let go of any attempt to reform them, because the more you keep coming at them with, hey, can't you see this, and you confront them and all, then they're just going to keep throwing it back at you. It's what I refer to as boomerang communication. They're not honest with you because ultimately they're not honest with themselves. They're highly passive aggressive. So rather than trying to reform them, you realize, okay, this is somebody that I need to keep my distance from. This is not someone that I want to confide in. I'm going to look for individuals who have more of a sense of authenticity. They don't have this hard questioning, the gaslighting that goes along there with them. And even though the narcissist is going to try to get you to question your pluses, they're going to get you to question your strengths, and they're going to accentuate your minuses or your weaknesses, I'm hoping you can have a sense of objectivity about who you are despite their subjective appeal to all of the many emotional themes and all that they come at you with. So it's sad to say that the covert narcissist actually schemes and strategizes their gaslighting. Now, they may not call it that, but that's what it is. It's very much a well-chosen kind of a pattern that they take themselves into. You don't think like a schemer, which in the initial sense gives them a hidden advantage over you. But let's understand that the covert narcissist wants to emphasize doubt within you. And I'm hoping that you, as you begin seeing it, you're thinking, what I want to emphasize is honesty. That's the opposite of phoniness, by the way. And the more you can be honest about who they are and then honest about who you are, then that positions you to have truly a sense of steadiness that they'll never be able to experience. And I hope that talks like this can give you some good awareness of what you might be up against. I know that this is a very difficult pattern, which is why I come back to it from time to time and try to give you some good insights into this. If you've not already done so, I would encourage you to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button too. We'll keep more videos coming in your direction. Gus is not a covert narcissist at all. He's just a chill dog. Gus and I'll keep more videos coming in your direction. If you have a need for therapy, I would strongly encourage that you seek that out. I'm so pleased that I'm sponsored by the people at BetterHelp.com. They've been with me now for several years, and they have a solid online therapy service, a whole team of licensed professional therapists that you could select from. There's a link below, and if that's something that you would find useful, I would strongly encourage that you look into that. I'm a therapist, and so I've been referring people to therapy my entire adult life. In addition, I do have my therapeutic courses. Courses like Ready, Set, Connect, which talks about good connection skills. This is me about your boundaries with these individuals. Free to be, finding yourself despite them. Each course has multiple videos and written material that goes along with it, guided questions. Likewise, I have my webinars. We have our Surviving Narcissism podcast. We have our website with many articles on there. Lots of resources. I have my books and plenty of other things for you to look into. It's sad to say that you have narcissists who become covert. They gaslight you. They want you to have doubt. And we know that it's a strategized kind of thing. I'm hoping that the more you're able to see into it, though, you can commit to the much better alternatives. And in doing so, you can be that person of dignity, respect, and civility that we emphasize here on Team Healthy. And I'm hoping that in the end, it allows you to become a person of peace.